Hello, how's it going? I'm Matt with Foulball Productions. This is episode 3 of my coverage of all the episodes of The Expanse ever made. It's pretty fun so far. Thanks for checking me out. Appreciate you guys sticking around and watching me talk my way through my favorite show of all time. Before we get started, a little bit of business. If you wouldn't mind, like the video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to the channel if you're interested in all my other content. I've got my obscure movie recommendee show. I've got my movie chat with my friend Lindsay that I love that we do every Tuesday. We didn't do it this past Tuesday because she's busy, she's moving, so on and so forth. But we will be doing it every other Tuesday. And starting this Monday, and then hopefully every Sunday therein, I will be doing another stream with a filmmaker friend of mine, my friend Jared, who we have some of the best film conversations I've ever had in my life. So we're going to start doing a show every Sunday. So lots of content coming down the pike. So please subscribe and like the video. And thank you for everyone who's checked me out. Up to 12 subscribers. I'm genuinely excited about that. So thank you very much. So let's get into this most recent episode of The Expanse, episode 3. So when we last left our heroes, Mars had captured them on the Donninger, which was pretty badass, pretty scary. This starts off with them being back on Ceres Station and Holden's message. It got out. Holden's message made it. So they're on Ceres Station, all just absorbing the Remember the Cant, video, where they're suggesting that Mars. Oh, I gotta move this camera. That's not the right one. Boy, webcams are a pain in the ass. If you ever tried to do this, I want to let you know it's not just automatic. Boy, oh boy. I've been going through the ringer with these webcams, and the one I end up using is the default one that came with my computer. It's a whole thing. Anywhoozle. So Holden has become sort of an intersolitary. How would you say that? Intersolar? If you say international. Intersolar systemal? Intersolar systemal. Celebrity of sorts. He's a terrorist, kind of. He looks like he works for the OPA and is now inspiring rebellion. And riots do follow. So Havelock is back with his prostitute friend, this girl who's teaching him how to do them beltaloda. Dem beltaloda. Sticom. De pompa und conte. Falling in love with this show. I now understand like why guys would go to Star Trek conventions and like speak Klingon, because I want to learn how to speak Belter. I really do want to like be able to speak Belter Creole. I love it. I think it's one of the most cleverly designed science fiction languages ever, and I I totally understand why people speak Klingon. I don't love it quite the same as people love Star Trek. I've tried to get into Star Trek. I like it. I respect it. I admire it. I admire the fanhood, the fandom. It's not really my thing, but I respect the people who get into it. But I'm starting to understand the obsession, because it's never enough with me here. I'm never over it. I adore this show, and I love everything about it, and I want to learn how to speak Belter Creole. Anyway, enough about me, the show. So Havelock's trying to learn how to be a Belter, even though he's an Earther, and everyone's going to look at him. This was interesting. So the head of Star Helix, the head of Star Helix, the woman Shadid, is advising everyone that there's going to be riots, because of Holden's new rallying cry. But I like the way she's guiding. It's kind of interesting. Like, you could see, like, this is the way a cop who would be dealing with a bunch of riots would deal with it. Like, we're not arresting anybody. We're not breaking up protests. We are just going to keep the peace. It's like, I like that, I think it's, you bust any heads and I'll bust yours. It's like, yeah, like, if you push it too hard, this whole thing could boil over, and we could have, a riot on your hands, mister. Sorry, that's a very obscure quote of the Mighty Boosh, another favorite show of mine. I could cover that show one time, I guess. I adore that show. Up and down. So now Miller is following up with Shadid about Julie, and this is the first hint that we kind of get that the whole Julie thing is really not on the up and up. I think. I haven't seen this episode in a while. Yeah, basically this is when he tells Shadid that Julie's no longer there. So don't worry about it. Or not don't worry about it, but this is the conclusion. She tells him to not worry about it, collect the check, and he says no. He keeps going. And I like this redemption. I think that's a great story archetype, is the kind of washed up, used to be somebody guy and just catches like a little reason to keep going. There's a great movie with Paul Newman called The Verdict, Sidney Lumet movie from I think the late 80s. Same idea. Washed up, ambulance chasing scumbag of an attorney, and he just gets stuck on this one case, and he follows it all the way through to his own ruin, and his own lack of financial gain. But it was just the right thing to do at the right time. And I like that this same thing with Miller. He's kind of in that situation where he should just take the money. He should just walk away, but something's eating at him. That last remnant of good guy that's still there somewhere ignites. It's a great story. I mean, I know it's been done, but it's always I love that archetype. So we're on the Donager, and our heroes will be heroes. I think at this point we don't quite know that I don't think we really feel connected to them as our heroes yet. Sort of. We're obviously following them for a reason, but they don't even feel like a group at this point. Oh yeah, Amos. I fucking love Amos. Amos goes after the guard as they're being thrown into the cells, and Amos is the best. So our heroes are being locked up. Hey buddy. Hey Luke. Luke's making his weekly or show visit. You want to show the people your little fuzziness? No. I don't know what he wants. Just attention, I guess. You can come say hi to the people. Anyway, they're all getting locked into the cells, and then this is when we find out things are not exactly as they seem, because Alex gets taken away by the Martian Marines, and we don't know if he's getting killed or what. And this is an interesting episode because the Martians start to play mind games with the whole crew and start to pin each other against each other in a way, and then exposing these things about their past that they didn't know about each other and are potentially, compromising or controversial. Like, it's interesting, like Naomi's backstory, like somehow tied in with the OPA, and she has like the Belter tat. And she definitely is empathetic to the Belter cause. So you're like, oh, is she a terrorist? Like, wait a second. Has she been lying? Has she been duping us? Shed turns out to be on the run from a drug dealer. Alex is a Martian. Is he good? Is he bad? It's pretty interesting. Although I will say it's a bold choice because I do think it keeps most of the audience off balance as to whether we're supposed to care about all these people yet. But I don't know. For me, it ultimately works. It's my favorite show of all time. I don't think there's any issue with my enjoyment. But I can see how it might be tricky. So if you have friends that you're trying to recommend The Expanse to, I would say, I always say the first 3 episodes are prologue, and the 4th episode is when it really gets kicking. That's my point of view, because I think once the crew is united on the Rossi, once they're on the Rossi, that's I think when the show really starts. That's when we really begin the whole narrative. That's my point of view. That's my opinion, as a way to kind of guide newer viewers, because I think it is a tough show to watch. It's like any well-written show, especially unapologetic shows. It just drops you in there. It's like The Wire or The Expanse, The Wire or Game of Thrones, where it's just like there's no learning curve. Like they drop you in, and you need to, get with our pace. I love that kind of writing. It's challenging. It makes people not necessarily want to be a part of it right away, but if you stick with it, if you really commit, you'll get something great out of it. And I think that's what The Expanse does. This is a devious scene. So Avasarala is talking to a old friend of hers, old childhood friend of hers, and pretending, all being flirty and cute and adorable and just so innocent, but is trying to figure out some information that he has on Mars because he's the Martian ambassador. And she ends up using him, and it's with pretty disastrous results, which I thought was great writing. I love stuff like that. It's great. She is so good. She's such a great character, outstanding actress, and her character's commitment, like her genuine love and commitment for Earth and humanity, and really caring about it. Even though she goes through brutal lengths to do it, you see she's truly principally driven, and I love characters like that. I think that that's a great character. It's like I think we get too many just watered down, I'm noble, I'm good all the time. Good is gray. Good is subjective. It isn't quite that easy to pin down what's good and what's bad. But Avasarala, I would argue, is a very good character. She's principled. She really cares about Earth and the people of Earth, and she's going to do what she's got to do to protect those people, even if it means sometimes hurting the people around her. I don't know. It's a marvelous character, and she's a tough bitch. She curses. I love it. I love her filthy mouth. She's awesome. She's such a well-written character and extraordinarily well performed by that woman that I don't know the name of. I do follow her on Instagram, but I don't even think I can pronounce her name anyway. I think she's Iranian. Yeah, I think she's marvelous. So back here on series, things are getting a little tense. The rallying cries are getting a little more rowdy. The public gatherings are starting to get a little more intense and fiery. Miller's dispersing one of them right now. The guy from the pilot, who was in a really articulate way, was giving a lot of exposition. He's being kind of shoved off with Havelock. And they're just trying to keep the peace, trying to keep series from falling apart. Dude, I love this show. Like, I love that, like, the implication, what's the word? I don't know. This set, like, they're supposed to be inside of this planetoid, right? Like, how cool. Like, this little, gutter alley is, like, inside of a planetoid in the asteroid belt. Like, I think it's so cool. Like, I love this setting. I love this world. It's so well conceived. If you guys don't know about the history of how this series came about, it's fascinating. Essentially they went from making a video game to a tabletop RPG to a novel series, and then this TV show. And is it this episode? You know what? I think it might be this episode. Or it might be the next one. Something very dramatic happens, and the way it happened was so interesting and organic. I will point it out when it comes. I'm not going to just leave you hanging on that. But it's fascinating that the way they did that. I don't know. The people who make this thing are really, they truly love it. Like, they're authentic creatives. Like, they really love this whole world, and they it's informed by lots of different things. Anywho. Tangent. This is cool. So Holden is going into the Martian interrogation room. And I remember watching this for the first time and really being off balance. And not entirely knowing, like, whether Mars was bad. Like, did they blow up the Cant? Or, like, are they evil? Like, we really don't know. I think that's, like, the strength of this first season, is you don't really know anything. And then I like that this guy, I forgot his name, but I think he has like a Latin name, even though he looks very white. He takes this like interrogation drug, and his pupils go like that, and then starts asking him questions and kind of like implying that they went to Phoebe. This is the first time you're hearing about Phoebe. Like, Phoebe, what is Phoebe? And then they keep mentioning Phoebe. They keep dropping in Phoebe Station. What's this Phoebe Station? Like, what's happening here? It's really quite cool. Quite cool. I like it. I think it's fascinating. Oh yeah, now he starts getting, and then this is interesting. It's like, it's all these details, man. These writers are like, it was kind of like old Lucas, like when George Lucas like conceived of Star Wars, like the direction in which that world lived inside his head was almost like limitless. And that's kind of how I see these guys, you know. And if it isn't, they sure make it seem like it is, because they have this whole thing where, like, you know, the population on Earth is in the billions, and then the families have to have like these sort of communal families where they all share DNA in a child or something, to so that they can have land rights, because there's just so many people. It's like you have to have these like lottery systems and different priority. Like it's just so well conceived. I mean, they've clearly thought about this for thousands and thousands and thousands of hours and put it all together, and it all fits together. It all clicks. It's such a well realized universe. Yes, and this is where he drops it, the potential that Naomi Nagata is an OPA operative, and then they give her like her history and stuff like that, and kind of start throwing doubt into each of the crew members' heads as to who's who and why are they there and who's good and who isn't, and are you all being deceived? It's it's a good game, especially at this point in the show. If you've never seen it, obviously, and you're in this episode, you don't know. You don't know anything. You don't know who's who, what's what, where it's all going. So these people could be bad. They could be good. You don't know. It's a pretty bold strategy in the third episode of the first season. I'm still amazed I didn't hear about this show until like it was off. It was already, like, Amazon had already picked it up. I hadn't heard a word about it. I live in LA. I never heard anyone mention it once. There's a whole campaign to save it. Never came across my desk. So bizarre, but here we are. Here we are. Interrogation over with Holden. Oh, there we are at Sirius Station, like my background. Remember the Cant. Remember the Cant. Yeah, now the dock workers are getting a little rowdy. The OPA is starting to feel pretty cocky. And then Miller comes in, starts kicking some dicks in. He's, I want all these containers open. I want contraband searched. I think this is the introduction of, yes, it is. Yeah. And Miller goes after the old dock worker who's got the OPA tats, the gang tats, because I think he's trying to target Anderson Dawes. Now, I don't remember him being nearly as prominent a character in the books. I listened to the first two audiobooks and a half of the third one. And Anderson Dawes was there, but I don't remember him being as prominent of a villain. I think that they kind of like leaned into that, which I think works. I think it works great. And he is a great villain, and he's unbelievably well performed. And here's a fun bit of trivia. In the movie The Watchmen, the movie, not the HBO show, when that little animated vignette that kind of is woven through it with the pirate guy who's like driven to go save his family by the evil ship, and he's got that raft full of like bloated dead bodies. The voice of his friend that he hears is played by the guy who plays Anderson Dawes. Fun bit of trivia. I thought it was fun. I was like, wait, that's Anderson Dawes. And it sure was. And that guy's awesome. I think he's South African. Great. So great. So here we are back on Earth, and Avasarala is at dinner with her husband and the ambassador and his husband, because they gay. You gay, son, you gay. And then they they kind of excuse their respective men so that Avasarala and the guy and the ambassador can have a little conversation. So she is doing a little espionage here. She's doing a little counterintelligence. She's leaking bad information to him because she found the belter with the stealth components, and then she's implying that they got those stealth components from Mars and kind of testing him. I wonder if she knew. I think she's so smart, right? So I think she either knew that he's a Mars sympathizer and would let them know about this, or she would know that by him not alerting the tech companies or the what's it called? Defense contractors, that he was loyal. Like either way, she would figure out that either Mars did or did not leak it, or that he's loyal. Like, she's so clever. Talk about 4D chess. Is that not an overused metaphor, cliche? I'm so tired of hearing about 4D chess. Whether anyone's playing it or not, I don't care. I don't want to hear. Use a new metaphor. Tired of it. Tired of it. I'm bored. Oh, Shed. So they're in their prisons. Hi, Luke. They're in their prison cells, and Shed's trying to relate. Amos is antagonizing the guard, basically saying that the Martian guy, the Martian uniform, the Martian armor must itch. And he's like, well, maybe not for you because you don't have any balls. And then Shed's like, hey, I used to have jock itch. Here's a way to help. It's like, shut up, Shed. He's trying to piss him off. Dude, I love when Amos gets that look in his eyes where he looks like he's just like, yeah, bring it. Like, he's just happy to fight. I love that look, man. He's such a savage. Oh, Amos is such a great character. Such a good tank. Tanks don't normally get such nuance and complexity. He's such a great character. Now here we find Alex. Alex is in Martian uniform. Still kind of locked up, but now he's wearing Martian colors. He's being treated well. Not in a prison cell. And it turns out that that Mr. Kamal did 20 years in the Martian Navy. So they're treating him out of respect. Treating him with respect. Ooh, slow down there, Chief. Settle down. Interesting little backstory. I don't know if you knew this. The reason why Alex Kamal has this cowboy accent, but he's Indian, is because when they said the Mariner Valley on Mars was settled, it was settled by the Chinese, the Indians, and descendants of Texas. So that kind of Texas cowboy spirit came and sort of created this new culture on Mars with sort of like Eastern peoples with cowboy tendencies. It's kind of fascinating, and I love stuff like that. That's what I love about the world of this show. Like the Belters, especially, how many cultures overlap and create like a new cultural identity. Come here, buddy. I know you want attention, so you're gonna get it. I think that's what's so clever, and that's like what's so interesting about the hey, buddy, the Belter Creole, like the Belter language. It's just like an amalgam of so many different cultures, which is probably what will happen once we start to explore the solar system. It's what I mean, just so well conceived. And here we are, back on the docks. Miller's laying down the law. Guess there was a fight. They're trying to not give the Martians their water and fuel. And Miller's keeping the peace, and the Belters are like, fuck this guy, we're going to kill him. And then we get the introduction of Anderson Dawes, who's great. Also, what a well-written character. Oh my God, I'm covered in cat hair now. And it's just going to float in the air. Hope you don't mind. This guy is so great. Excellently performed. Top to bottom. Thorough, brilliant, focused. Love his voice. But his character makes sense. Like, even though he's a bad guy, his reasoning makes sense. Like, why he does things makes sense. Even though he does bad things, he does have genuine conviction. He's probably blinded by a lust for power. He's probably like a Cuban revolutionary, like a Che Guevara, like a Fidel Castro, who they think they're fighting for the right reason, but once they get power, they're pretty oppressive. I feel like that would probably be Anderson Dawes, but that's speculation. And regardless, like, when you listen to his character, like the reasons why he is doing things and his motivations and his objectives are all very reasonable. They all make sense. Like, you kind of find yourself being like, oh, that's not a terrible point. But then when you see him doing such bad things, it kind of makes him the villain in the end. But I don't know. It's a great villain. I mean, it's just a very, very, because he's not even a villain. It's like what they say, like a good villain is just someone with like goals like in opposition to your protagonist, right? Like a villain shouldn't just be like, I'm evil. It should be someone who just has goals and methods that are in opposition to your protagonist. And that's Anderson Dawes all over. I mean, he is a piece of shit, but he doesn't think so, which is pretty dope. And I love listening to him talk. I love that interesting accent and his conviction. He's so good. He's so convincing. He is like one of those like charismatic dictators, you know, that's like chopping kids' arms off. But you're like, this guy's pretty charming. He's got that duality. And so here I think he's and he's trying to do his little recruitment speech on Miller. You know, talking about how you lived your life in the belt. We're the same. We're brothers. He's got like multiple angles on how to like convince Miller. And Miller's just seen all the bullshit that the solar system can give anybody, and he doesn't fall for any of it. I love Miller, man. Lindsay doesn't like Miller. I think she's wrong, and I think you guys should let her know she's wrong. She's wrong. So yeah, now Miller's kind of putting it to Dawes about Julie. Miller knows that Miller has a hunch that Dawes knows Julie. Dawes is playing innocent. He doesn't know. Ooh, Julie who? I don't know any Julie. I'm just up and coming OPA, delegate. He's so convincing. Like, it's just like another person, like a weaker person, would not be, would fall for it. But Miller is just too savvy. Just been around too much bullshit, too many liars, too many creeps. He knows the difference. I love Miller. He's good. Miller! That's my angry Holden voice. Miller! And here we go. Naomi Nagata is being interviewed by the Martians. And this is when we start to get a little insight into the fuzzy backstory of Naomi. Naomi's got some skeletons in the closet. But she's not a bad person. I like Naomi too. Great character. Tough as nails, smart, hardworking, likes her section on the ship. Doesn't want to be in charge, just likes the engineering. Let me engineer. As long as I can do that, I'm golden. Belt. So now that the Martian guy is like kind of pressing her to see if she'll like kind of confess any sympathies to the OPA. And I think she's not sympathetic to the OPA. I think she just sort of like sees the dark side of like aggressive political conviction and how it can get people killed, how it can attract people who are not necessarily working in others' best interests, that they're opportunists, the violence, the messiness of political revolution. I think she's just kind of out. Plus, she has her kid, so she just, she's just over it. Just over the whole mess of it, which I like. But later, as her character encounters other situations that have to do with belters and people who live there, you see you see her empathy, you see her true sympathy and her love for people of the belt, and she does things to try to care for them. She's not like gonna blow up anybody, but she will prioritize saving people of the belt, which is it's noble. Like, she's got those really nice characteristics. Great characters on this show. So the writing is just so good. I don't know why this isn't a bigger show, but I'm kind of, in a way, I think it's good it's not that big, because as soon as shows get big, they start getting bullshit. So I think as long as they make it, maybe it's perfect. Maybe it just flies right under the radar. We love it, and then no idiots get involved. No dummies with ideas. It just stays in the hands of the people who can control it and express it the way it needs to be expressed. No one inserting their dumbness into it and ruining it. So hopefully it will. Maybe that's the goal. Maybe that's what we do. We recommend it to the right people. Don't recommend it loud to everybody, just the people who will get it. And we keep it with us, you know? Leave the normies out of it. Just us. Maybe they'll stay pure. We'll see. I don't know. Fourth season, I think it's could go either way. You know, fifth season could go shit, could go good. It was kind of on the line there for me. I'm actually excited to get there in this whole streaming thing because I've only watched that season one and a half times, which for me is not a lot when it comes to The Expanse. So I'm interested to re-explore it. Like, I have criticisms, I have critiques, but I think overall it was pretty good. But I want to re-explore it. I really want to see how I feel about it again, which will be fun. Be very fun. See, it's funny too. Like, even as I'm rewatching this now, so the four of them are back. Wait, where's Alex there? Yeah, five of them. Okay, the five of them are in this cell, like this sort of big holding cell, and they're all kind of getting at each other's throats. You know, they're kind of, hey, you are with the OPA, or you're with Mars, and blah 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 blah. And as I'm watching this, like, even though it's like it's not on, like it's just in the background with the subtitles, I'm still like into it. Like, I love the look of this. I think it's extraordinarily well shot and edited. Like, it doesn't feel static. It never feels repetitive having watched it. Like, each choice is artistic and story based. Nothing is flashy or unnecessary. It all like is just telling the story. It's never trying to, hey, look, I'm a cameraman making camera shots. Like, it's all about its focus. You know, and the edits are the same way. Like, the edits are appropriate for the story beats. Nothing is ostentatious or showy. You know, it's like I've seen this so many times, and I'm a critic. Like, I have a very critical mind. If there was a reason for me to, you know, find something of fault, I would find it, and I don't. You know, I mean, obviously, I'm not looking for faults, but it's just if it stood out, it would stand out. My refrigerator's clicking.
I don't like that click. It's annoying. Ah, heavens.
So, back on Earth, there's some sort of briefing at the UN. Ah, yes. This is when Avasarala's little espionage move paid off. So she leaks the information to her friend, Franklin DeGraff. He goes back to his Martian cohorts and says, hey, there's Martian stealth tech missing. They all go nuts. Every defense contractor on Mars starts scrambling and looking into their inventory. And it turns out that actually, no, there wasn't. It didn't come from Mars, the stealth tech. So Avasarala, while exploiting her friend, her childhood friend, as a Mars sympathizer, and, you know, kind of a spy at that point. I mean, if he's working for Mars's interest over Earth's and he works for Earth, he's like a Martian spy. It's like if we, you know, someone did that to America or some other country did that for, you know, that's treason. You're betraying your country. You're betraying your nation. So she basically just exposed that he did that. But to be fair, he did do it. I mean, he did betray Mars. I mean, he did betray Earth for Mars. But it was a kind of relief. It was like, okay, so the OPA has this stealth tech, kinda, or something, but it's not, didn't come from Mars. So what's going on? There's a bigger thing at play here. So Holden is on the bridge with the captain of the Donager, which is pretty interesting. And he's and she's telling him, hey, asshole, you just made it look like we blew up an OPA or a Belter ship out of nowhere. You're going to create a war in the system. You need to tell everyone that that didn't happen. We didn't blow it up. Not only that, we took you in and saved you, okay? Otherwise, you've got a system-wide war on your hands, okay? You little shit. And he's like, not unless my crew is safe. He's like playing, but I kind of think like Holden's overplaying like his hand here, like not overplaying, but he's a little out of his depth and is kind of being reckless, where everyone else is being much more practical. But I like that. I think it's fun, and he's just concerned with his crew and concerned with his own life and doesn't want to die. And then the captain the captain reveals that ever since they got on this ship, the Donninger, there's the silhouette of another ship that's like following them, and we don't know what that ship is yet, but we're gonna find out. Sort of. We're not really gonna find out who they are, but we're gonna find out what they are, and they are not there to sell Girl Scout cookies. No, they are not. So Miller is back at his apartment, and he is looking. He's trying to put together solve the case with the whole Julie thing. So he's putting together when she got on this ship, and then this happened here and disembarked there, and so on and so forth. He doesn't have all the pieces yet, but he's working on it, and he's getting there. He's getting there. He's really using all his detective faculties to make this, to put this story together, and I love watching him do it. I love the tech in this show too. It all seems like it would make sense like that. Like, you know, I have my phone. I can cast information from my phone to the TV or the computer or another phone or what. But in this future, which is a few hundred years, it's all kind of like that, but extrapolated, you know, 10 generations, 20 generations down, where like if something's on the screen, this screen, you want it on that screen, you just swipe it and it goes. That makes sense. I feel like that'll happen eventually. I mean, we have like, you know, the casting from your phone. Like, yeah, I love that. Like, that's vision of what the future could be. I mean, who knows? No one knows until you're there, but I like the idea. I like the conception of that.
I think it's fascinating. Brilliant.
So now they're down on series, and it's starting to get a little out of hand. They're trying to. There's like a guy recruiting for jobs on Mars, on Ceres, and they want to like the Belters want to like take them down. They got pipes. They all got signs. Lots of guys holding pipes and weapons. They want to attack Mars for blowing up one of the Belter ships. And Miller and I forgot the girl's name. The female cop. They're trying to disperse it, and now it's getting out of hand. A riot's basically breaking out. They got all the cops and security trying to break it all up, but tensions are really high on Ceres. I mean, it's about to erupt into a full-scale planetoid-wide riot, which is very scary, very exciting. Yeah, it's pretty badass, man. It's like, I love, like, when you first meet the OPA, they seem like kind of crazy people. Like, they're just sort of like a rabble of angry, violent guys. Then when you start to get their history, you're like, oh, like, yeah, I see why they're so pissed off. But they're still well written enough to be like, well, yeah, but you can't be just killing innocent people. You can't be blowing up stuff. Yeah, I know you're mad, but murdering people is not going to help your cause. Which it's interesting because it's like everyone has gray on this show. No one's perfect. No one's the noble, shining, correct choice. It's just such good writing. Now here's a great use of a location. Avasarala is now talking to the guy that she essentially just betrayed. And his life's ruined now. I mean, he was going to retire on Mars. They talked in the last scene how they were going to have like a vineyard, and grow grapes, and they were going to retire pleasantly. And she just destroyed that because now Mars knows, Earth knows that he was a sympathizer of Mars. Mars knows that, now Mars may just expose state secrets to Earth, by his sort of lack of judgment. And, that's sort of the end of his world, which it sucks that Avasarala had to do that to a friend, but, she did it for her reasons, and that's what makes her such a compelling character. It still sucks she had to do that, but with a great use of this location is, I don't know where they shot this, but whatever building they put this in, it's perfect. It looks so futuristic, and the way they shot it with there's these two like overlapping balconies, walkways, and it just looks like the future. Whoever scouted these locations is brilliant. I don't know if a lot of this was shot in Canada, so I imagine this is a Canadian location. But yeah, man, The look of this show is so good. I still don't understand why more people don't just love it. Like, love it so much. I love it so much. But also for like, it also just has so many objective good qualities. It's not just like, oh, this is my shit. Like, I can understand if it's not yours. But objectively, the costumes, the armory, the sets, the locations that they use, the whole thing. I mean, there's just so many interesting things that they employ to make this whole thing come together. Like, objectively, it's excellent. You know, it might not be subjectively your favorite thing, but objectively, it's outstanding. It's fucking outstanding. Anyway, yeah. Oof. This is that really articulate, high-level fuck you he's giving to Avasarala. Basically saying, you know, you're cold, you're brutal, and you'll hurt anyone to accomplish what you want to accomplish. Which is true, but her intentions are noble, which is what makes her a great character. She will hurt people, she will do bad things, but ultimately it's for the greater good. And that's a tough road to walk. You are going to hurt people you care about for that, but ultimately Earth is better for it. So, good character, man. Very good character, and extraordinarily well executed by that actress. So Miller's walking on Ceres in the aftermath of this riot. Oh, right. And now another clue in the case. He comes across Busy Patenko. Is that guy's name? Yeah. He comes across this dead guy in the riots, and it was one of the guys that Julie kept seeing. Night Bandit 3-1 on the dating apps. You know, on the dating apps. But it obviously wasn't really seeing them. It was some sort of OPA communication network. You know, they would pretend through these dating apps. That's how they would communicate. Oh, and Havelock's about to get it. So Havelock is in the an abandoned, like a kind of a quieter tunnel, and he's walking alone, and he's an earther, which is no good here. And he's trying to do, he's almost insulting them. He's trying to do belter things like, hey guys, calm down. And they literally laugh at him. And these big, brutey belters, oh, he's surrounded. He is so fucked. He's so fucked. There's 5 of them, and they're very big guys. And they grab him. Oof. Oh, this is so brutal. Hold him up against a wall and put like a construction spike through his heart. Just ka-chink, and nail him, and like kind of crucify him. Just nail him to this wall. It's a brute. Oh, and he's just hanging on it. It was like hanging on this stone wall. And that's how the episode ends. So that's episode 3 of season 1 of The Expanse. And it's so good. It's such a great show. I know that I keep gushing, but yeah, I don't know. Tell your friends. Tell your friends about The Expanse. I think that's gonna do it. I think that's kind of all I gotta say about this episode. I feel good. I feel happy. Feel comfortable with putting that out there. We're gonna keep following the journey of the crew of the Rocinante and Miller and Avasarala and all the pieces on this chessboard. So thanks for checking me out. If you would be so kind, if you enjoyed it, please press like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribers are climbing, which is great. The more reach I get, the more eventually the more videos I'll be able to do. So if you like what I do, please support, and stay tuned for some of the other content. Check me out Monday, me and Jared. Tuesday, me and Lindsay. Should be another obscure movie recommendee show up, hopefully tomorrow. Lots of stuff coming, and of course I will be covering The Expanse every single episode several times a week, so check me out there. Thank you very much for watching. You guys have a wonderful evening. Mwah. Un bello allora.